I don't know what needs to fall on someone to understand. Even fireworks, right? They gotta land, folks. There's a thing called gravity.
What happened to community mentality? If there's a geographic thing going on around you, which are these wildfires, I mean, you don't even have to read the news to understand what's going on. This is like the only thing we're talking about right now. It's tremendous, and it's LA. People are like, oh well, despite that, I'm gonna put up fire.
A TikToker captures careless idiots releasing lantern balloons on Southern California beach. This is as LA burns. This happened a couple of days ago, this encounter. This is from the NY Post. The woman spoke to the Post anonymously after she took down the video. She said she made a trip to a beach near Santa Barbara to decompress because she had been working a lot with fire victims in LA. What she saw next left her dumbstruck. A group of partiers launching sky lanterns a stone's throw from a campground, nature preserves, and a residential neighborhood in a county with a higher fire risk designation. Now, keep in mind, sky lanterns can reach altitudes of 1,500 feet and have been known to crash land in places like forests, rooftops, starting blazes. The group said, yeah, but we have a permit, see here, for the lanterns, which, by the way, the lanterns themselves are illegal in the state of California. The TikToker and another concerned bystander whipped out their phone cameras to catch this interaction and confronted the party, who insisted the lanterns are safe, it's not windy out. Okay. And claimed to have a permit for these illegal lanterns. The man who was confronting them with the TikToker, she never got his name. He said he and his family were displaced from LA and they were sheltering up there. Eventually, someone in the group said, hey, folks, we're launching these because of a memorial service. This is part of it. The TikToker said, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I've been going down to LA. I've been seeing the devastation, and I don't want to start a fire right here. Now, the party did become a little more belligerent, so she backed off, called 911, and eventually the local authorities showed up and shut the lantern launches right down. But the experience itself, of course, left her rattled. I'm sure we'd all agree to that. And just seeing this, she said, and knowing what's going on in Los Angeles, it absolutely devastated her to see a lot of it burning down. Ladies, your thoughts. Nisreen.
Do they not know what's going on? Like,
yeah,
what?
It's so ironic.
I don't care if it's not windy.
Yeah, I can't believe that was.
No, that's unbelievable to me.
I think the
they haven't had rain there in 8
though.
months, ladies. We were talking about this earlier. The fact that it's so dry. I don't know what needs to fall on someone to understand. Even fireworks, right? They gotta land, folks. There's a thing called gravity.
Exactly.
I think generally speaking, like we've all become just more careless now. Like just very, very careless, not a care in the world about
I don't think
our
anybody
neighbors.
cares.
Yeah, about our neighbors. And I'm sorry, like if this sounds very, trashy to say it like this, but it's true. Like what happened to community mentality? Like if there's a geographic thing going on around you, which are these wildfires, I mean, you don't even have to read the news to understand what's going on. This is like the only thing we're talking about right now. It's tremendous, and it's LA. But people are like, oh well, despite that, I'm going to put up fire into the air and pretend like I have no clue. Like you would think that the restrictions, not the restrictions, but like people saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. I'm sure that was discussed in the group, right? You're telling me in this giant group of people, nobody said maybe this is a bad idea?
Yeah, I would think I don't know in the group, but I would think anyone living there, part of their lives, all their lives. I mean, we are told all the time it's a dry season. In the summertime, there's just this idea that, hey, even if we had rain, they say it's still dry. We could start a fire. They've told us not. I just don't understand how in a place, it's like walking into a lumber yard with a cigarette and kind of thinking, I could just throw this anywhere, right? Well, probably not. I don't understand how this, and especially if you've got a law, you're claiming you got a permit, which obviously you're lying. no such thing
yes.
exists because it's illegal. Because,
In many
and when
states.
you go to try to get it, well, they tell you these could start fires. So that's why we don't make it legal. You know, I don't know.
I mean, obviously you can
No,
get
I think
things
people
wherever,
in their
right?
head, they're like, oh, there's already fires, so it's okay. Like,
And you're not the boss
Yeah,
of me.
you're
I'll do
just
what I
kind of
want.
adding to the that mentality. And we talk about this with all kinds of global warming or environment, like climate change stuff, right? Where we think our stuff doesn't make a difference. Oh, me throwing out my recycling bin properly
It makes no
and separating my
difference.
stuff. Who cares? Yeah. Oh, me turning off my tap when I'm brushing my teeth. That's not going to make a difference in the world. So it's similar, but the opposite effect, where you're thinking my destruction is not going to take part in this giant destruction that's already too late, too heavy.
Could you imagine figuring that you're the person that started just the Palisades fire? Let's start there. And you were responsible for a fire that burned so many structures and took so many lives. And you're sitting at home recognizing, especially if they say the origin seems to be here, it's we're narrowing it down. Whether anyone ever catches you or not, you know what you did. Why would you ever risk that kind of foolishness? You know, the figure I can send this lantern off and maybe 1 out of the 48 that we just sent might start a fire somewhere. Oh, well, that's 1 out of 48. Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's what people think. And also,
Yeah.
where are we supposed to start the policing? Like, honestly, if we can't even rely on people's own regard, their own
Sense,
personal
fear.
accountability, exactly, common sense, fear, checking the headlines, understanding what you're doing to worsen or better a situation. If we can't even rely on that type of regularity and common sense, then what the heck are we supposed to rely on? How do we start policing?
I think
We
it's
get-
sad. I think
It's
it's sad.
so-
There's too many people that don't have much common
I can't even
sense
say
in the world.
sense. I don't know how you can't know. Like,
Yeah.
like
No,
if we
obviously,
wrapped
yeah.
them up in a bunch of paper and walked around them with a match, they'd be the first person to say, "Hey man, what you doing? Can't you see I'm wrapped up in
I think
paper
they
here?"
just don't care, period.
Wow.
Don't care.
And also, like, we know that generally speaking, tradition and other kinds of practices, like ritualistic practices and such, trump in a lot of ways, in a lot of scenarios. We know that those kinds of things, especially if an entire community is behind you, for religious reasons or otherwise, it's hard to get out of that mentality. So maybe some of this stuff was around that and not just aesthetics and like, hey, let's go toss out these sky lanterns for fun. Perhaps it was something, bigger, like a bigger gist.
I
Right,
feel like
people are.
if that was the case, they would admit that or
It
mention
just seems
it
to
in
me
some
like
way.
an impossibility. Like, it just does. Like, I mean, I can understand someone thinking I'm starting a campfire in a cemented area with a special fireplace with 100 feet around me of cement, so I'm safe enough to have a fire here. That's just not what they're
Yeah.
doing. I'm sending all these flaming things into the air, have no idea where they're going to go and what.
And maybe
well, there's
that's
no
what they
wind.
think. Maybe
There's
think it's
no
gonna
wind.
it's gonna die out. Don't worry about it. It's not
They'll
gonna
just land in the
a
water.
forest.
They know where the water is. Sure.
Gosh, the amount
Follow
of
us on
things we think
Instagram.
Go on into water. Sorry, go on.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, if you would, please, at Kelly & Co. AMI.
Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.